So Mac, hi. How are you today?
I'm okay. Yes, I got here and it was all dark and cold, and a little almost damp, and now it's bright and warm, and companionable. So I'm good. I'm happy. As I was driving here, I was just thinking about, this chapter in Embercombe's history when you arrived, and a very rapid movement from that time to when we first sat together as co-lead of a whole number of the core programs. So I thought it'd be really good if you could say something about where you began your journey and when you first heard about Embercombe.
Yeah, I love this story actually because it's such a special time. It was such a special time in my life. So I grew up in Turkey, and in my early 20s I decided to just come to the UK just for an experience of being in a different country, improve my English, which I'm still working on. But at some point during my time in the UK, I decided to do some work in Asia. So I was in Bangladesh for a while, working on a project with women and young people.
Was this the Red Cross work?
It was with VSO.
Okay. Yeah.
And when I was there, I had this team member from the UK. She told me about this place called Embercombe, and she said, "You would love it. You must go." And it really stayed. I'm like, okay, how do you spell it? And I just put the name down. As soon as I came back to the UK, which was like 7 months after this conversation, because I was there for a long period of time, I went on the website, and with that person who became a friend of mine, we booked on the experience weekend where, you come and spend time in the community. But before that, when I checked out the website, I saw this program called The Journey. And just one line on that caption, connecting with yourself and connecting with nature. It was just like, I have to do this. I don't know what this is. I had never done anything like that before, but I just signed up even before coming to Embercombe. And as soon as I got here, just at the gates, I just had this like familiar feeling, like coming home. So that's how. That
Amazing.
was my first
What
trip.
really strikes me though is how you could so easily have forgotten that name in that 7-month period, and life would have just gone off in some other direction. So when you read that about the journey, you decided to sign up?
Yeah.
Right. And during the journey, how was that?
Oh, so first coming to the experience weekend, I got very familiar with the land already, and I just felt at home, as I said, and I was so excited to come back on the journey, and I could have never imagined that I would have such an experience. I remember saying like multiple times, I will never ever say I don't get enough from life. It was so fulfilling. I felt this sense of empowerment that I didn't know was available for me. And I have to say I carry it. I still carry it to this day. And that was, I don't know if you would call it a threshold, a moment where initiation in some ways, because I realized what was possible for me. And that then opened doors.
I actually doubt you realise what was fully possible for you at that point, but I understand. So, as you know, on the journey and some other programs, we have a group of people we call the back row, who are people who've attended that program before and who support it. So you want to just share what happened from after you completed the journey to the back row?
So I fell in love. I fell in love with this land and the program and how beautifully it was created and held, and everything I had. And I just wanted to come back not to just experience the program, which I really wanted to, you know, from another angle, also to be in service. It was so meaningful for me what the back row did during my journey. Unfortunately, at that time, Embercombe was going through a change, so the next journey wasn't until a year. I couldn't wait. But as soon as the first journey was launched, with like a week's notice, I came. And that was on its own a very special experience as well, because this time I was walking on my own footsteps while also holding space. I guess it is fair to say, for the first time in my life, I understood what it means to be held and hold space for others. That moment where you're like, this is not about me. This is not even about you who I am serving. This is something bigger. Yeah.
But your brightness, your commitment, your absolute kind of dedication to the work really did shine out and was noticed by those of us who were then the team of people who were facilitating and offering the journey. So it wasn't such a big step from that point to leading the back row, which I imagine felt like quite a responsibility at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was only like after 3 journeys, back rowing on 3 journeys, and I was offered the role. And I knew the reason that I was offered, as you just explained, but it was just the love, the appreciation of the work. And it was a big deal. I couldn't believe that I could be sitting in the circle with you all and having that responsibility of holding the back row, which, you know, we just touched base, like the backbone of the program. It was very empowering in that sense as well. I guess my word keeps on coming is empowerment. I guess it is important to name Joey at this time, who really generously and kindly held me and held my hand and say, or probably better to say walk alongside me. And he was like, you got this, you can do this.
Well, you, along with, of course, myself, many other mutual friends, Joey was an extraordinary person, but it's often struck me that the relationship between Joey the mentor and the mentee, in this case you, was profound and wonderful to a certain point, which then was difficult for both mentee and mentor as you began to realise your own skill and that Joey, with a mountain of experience to offer, was not always right about everything. And in fact, you know, like all of us, you know, fairly frequently wrong or could be improved. So then there was that slightly delicate period as you really truly occupied that role. And I guess Joey began to realise that his work had actually been achieved and needed to pull back a bit.
Yeah.
So I thought not to go into all the detail of it, but then there was that amazing step from leading the back row to the point when I, thinking about, you know, because one of our mutual friends had now left the journey as the person co-leading with me, and there was a gap. And to be honest, I wasn't thinking of you at that point in that role, but I needed someone, and you were certainly in my field of vision enough for me to think this could work. So I invited you to come in and co-lead the journey with me once, with a view to then reverting back to leading the back row.
Yeah.
How was that time?
What is interesting, because I really love the work, I was picking on different aspects of the program, not to become anything, not to have a role on the program, or, you know, I was just like, this really speaks to me, so I'm gonna follow those breadcrumbs. And I was going out and doing some trainings, learning from different people and experiencing. I remember that when you came and speak to me one day about this, and you were thinking like, oh, but we can't find someone having this experience and that training. And I'm like, me?
Yeah.
My friends thought I was crazy to spend that much money training on breathwork, and how useful and handy it was at that very moment. And there is something that, you know, you always share about the story, how you got the money for Embercombe, and David Mann said, have you got a dream? And you always say, you can't say, let me think about it. You're like, you need to, I have a dream and this is what I need. So it felt a bit like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I couldn't have waited until someone says, would you like to this role, and would you like to, then you need to train this and this. It was more like, I am trained, I'm here, I'm ready. And it was an edge.
Well, it was a revelation as far as I'm concerned, because you came and joined me on that program. There were others, of course, of people in the team in different roles, but you came in that place. And I remember looking at you during the plenary sessions and things, thinking, my goodness, like, this is not just doing a fine job filling in a gap that's needed before someone with more experience, probably older, steps in. Tuğba's really good at this work. And this is a wonderful combination of sort of age and gender between the two of us, and very, very different people, yet working together very easily and naturally. And so some way through that program, I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to reverse all the plans that I've made and say to you, would you like to now take on that role ongoing, every journey, probably the half, and anything else that may follow after that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, as you can see, like, it was a big deal. I was like, I want this, and it's such a like, can I do this? But what I noticed, I was in it. I wasn't trying to be someone else. I wasn't pretending. I was just like being really attentive to what was required and needed in the group. And I guess I developed this ear as well, and the eyes, that to see what is not seen maybe that obvious, and hear the things that are not easily, you know, maybe not said, but it is in the room. And then it was just a dance. It felt like it was I just needed to take my place in the circle.
I think that's it, Tuğba. There was an empty seat in the circle. Actually, not just the journey, and it was yours, and waiting for you to claim it. And you certainly did that. So now, on the last few programs, not just the journey but others, I've watched and I've realised I used to be the one that would explain this. I used to be the one that did that, but you now know more of all the different levels that go towards creating this thing, the journey, the half, the twin trail, than I do. And you are the one really who is leading and guiding that process. And then we're together with the group, and probably a third, Sarah, Becca, Dom, one of those people. So I'd love to switch now, because that was a major achievement, and one that you have truly earned, all the way from a young woman in rural Turkey in a very short period of time to owning the role as co-leader of these programs at Embercombe. But that's not all. So you you're now. Oh, that's Ted. Hold
Yeah.
on a sec. I'm going to let Ted in.
Of course.
Ted is a mutual friend. Come on in.
Hi, Teddy. Hello. Teddy wants to be in the camera.
From being very, very small, dumpy little thing, to
And
now being...
Ted has been the fundamental part of the programs.
Yes.
Yeah, sharing wisdom constantly
Yes,
with all
he's
the
even
groups.
wearing... Oh no, he's wearing his little red ribbon. Aren't you? So, it's gone beyond Embercombe's boundaries. We've done talks together and different things, but you're also now speaking on your own.
Yeah.
You're running workshops on your own, as it were. You're doing work out there in the world as well as the Embercombe work. Would you like to just share a bit about that?
Yeah, of course. I guess I like to start with speaking. I love my story in the sense that I came from, I can't do this, I can't do anything to this. I am doing this, and actually I am enjoying it, and that felt really, that feels really good. A bit like, just going back to the programs, the journey is so alive for us. We have so much fun, in different levels. And for me, it has been like that as well with my other offerings. I really enjoy it. The first time when I was in that, after leaving my job at the Red Cross and leaving my life behind in London and going for an inquiry, like, what is next for me? What is mine to do? I then explored, embodiment became part of what I started to do. And it was all, I'm not going to go into detail, but I find myself teaching movement on this jungle hostel in Nicaragua. And it was my first session ever. I just walked in. There was no stress, no tension. Unlike the ones when I do a PowerPoint presentation, I used to get so nervous. And then when I taught, no one could ever imagine it was my first. They couldn't believe that it was my first session. And I was reflecting on this, and I realized because it was in my body. I embodied what I was going to share. I was really connected with myself in that sense. And everything, like, it was almost like my body was leading and my mind was coming afterwards. And I think this is and then I started following this. Now I know what works for me. So now I'm a coach, and the coaching that I do, we talk a lot of talking, but we also go into the body and we say, okay, let's see what the body says. Shall we close the eyes if it is comfortable? Let's take a deep breath in. Let's drop this question and then see what comes. Maybe an image and a memory, a word that you can't even make sense. And then I pick up on things. Oh, that is interesting. It doesn't make sense, the client says, but doesn't matter. And then we explore and a new, door opens. So I'm using this a lot in my work. Breath work similarly. I don't find the breath work very lightly, because it is a very profound practice, and it is also a very, it is tender. Yeah. So it worries me when I see people like doing one breathwork session and then jumping into a training, and I'm like, first go through your experience and not only do the breathwork training, be trauma informed, work with body and collect different experiences before offering that space. And that is what I've been doing.
Right.
I have to use my knowledge about what can happen, what happens, and also need to have my intuition, because this is an energetic work as well. I need to be grounded within myself in order to hold that space, as we know, how active it can get. And I guess I apply this to every area of my work. And I said I would start with speaking, but I just went around. But I think speaking is the same. I remember one of our first talks, I think it was at the Medicine Festival. We, as usual, you said to me, I mean, you gave the title and the caption, and I'm like, Mac, shall we talk about what we're gonna talk? He's like, no. I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do?
Planning stresses me out.
I know it does. So I was like, okay, I'm lying in bed, things are coming to me, so I'm making like, the story is forming and I'm really enjoying this. So I'm ready to be on the stage. And then when I see the stage, I'm gone, like I'm blank. And I remember like turning to you, Mac, I don't know anything.
Yeah.
And then you said, just take a deep breath and just connect with what is here. Don't think about anything else. And I just remembered the first sentence or the word that I wanted to say.
Oh, what was it?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
No, it was the poem actually, Wild Geese by Mary Oliver.
Yeah.
And then I started and I saw the audience and everything was gone because I'm like, I am with you. And then I started going with it. And it came to a point where, then I pass it on to you. Then you're like, is there anything else you want to say? It comes to me. Now we are in that dance and it doesn't matter.
Well, this is because I feel what you experience in that moment, for me, is what I also experience. When you somehow step into the magic. And the magic is not extraordinary in a way. It's simply moving into the flow of what is with that group of people, what's in their hearts, the unshed tears, the unexpressed laughter, just life. And so the moment you connect with that, you don't have to, it will naturally flow. But you have a real gift, I think, and an extremely important one. In the context of times when so much is ugly, so much is harsh, so much pain, so much suffering, so much to feel disheartened by, your aliveness to the joy of this life that you're occupying, the adventure of exploring new uncharted territory, the warmth with which you meet people and the compassion with which you meet their experience and suffering, but also the delight of asking people to dance, as it were. All of that together gives a lovely palette between both the laughter, the joy, the sparkle, and the sadness, the grief, the suffering. And as you know, for me, it's very important. All this is the truth of our world now. And maybe it's been the truth always, but we are certainly feeling it now. And I think that's an amazing gift, and you do have that. So if you were to imagine, and maybe you don't imagine this, but if we look forward a couple of years, 5 years, what do you imagine for yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Mac. I want to just touch base on this joy. Because I said with this, because when I was exploring what are my gifts, it was painful to, be confronting, like, what is it that I most deeply and profoundly love? And what are my deepest and most profound gifts and responsibilities? And when I was thinking about my gift, that joy popped up. And it was because it is very innate to me. And I traced this back because mind wants to find out, like, where does this come from? Why is it there? Why is it like I am in such pain, but I can also appreciate the beauty, and the sun can give me just that joy. And I went back to my childhood, and there's this very vivid memory where I'm sitting with my sister on the roof of the shed where my mom and grandma was working. And there's a pomegranate tree just next to it. And in the spring, the pomegranate tree is blossoming.
Wow.
And I don't know if you've ever seen a blossoming pomegranate tree.
I don't think so.
Oh, it's the most beautiful thing. It's so beautiful. I'm sitting there. The flowers are touching my face. and we are like giggling. It's such lightness in me, that spring, and I remember that joy. So that joy is in me. I can't tap into that. So I would say my joy is that it is the gift from this pomegranate tree.
From the pomegranate tree.
It really is.
Well, may it always find a home in you, because it is a gift, and it is really important. Yeah. And as you've heard me say many times, and you speak to, all tears, no joy. It's not particularly helpful. Yeah. For many of us looking at lives which are reaching ahead into this uncertain future. Yeah. All laughter, no joy, all joy, no laughter. Whichever way you go, doesn't work. Yeah. The two together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I guess from that place, in answer to your question, when I came to Embercombe, I still say come back, because it felt like homecoming, coming back home. That I find my place back again in nature, on Mother Earth, because that's where I was when I was a little girl in this little Turkish village, actually, initially. And I was so connected with the mountains and the water and the pomegranate tree and the plane tree. And then I had my disconnect when we moved to the town, and that it was all more comfortable, stay close and don't go away. But I came and I find that connection back again. And I guess where I am seeing myself, just deepening my connection with this land here, as well as the land where I come from. Yeah. And be in better service to Mother Earth. Yeah. The humans and more than humans. And I know it is broad, I can be very specific, but ultimately this is what I want to do. Yeah. Just expand.
Well, I think from that place everything else emerges. Yeah. So as that love deepens, that connection becomes stronger and stronger, more and more threads. It's almost like we don't need to think about, because out of that will naturally just spring and emerge. But you already are a leader, and you're a leader in the way that you choose to be, and that flies in the face of many traditional ideas of what a leader should look and be like. But you influence lives, and not least by how you live your own. So this is powerful stuff. And I'm thinking, is there anything else that you would want people to know about, anything to do with either who you are or what you offer, that you'd like to speak to before we close our conversation?
Yeah, I guess what I want to say, because I know that people can go different places to find more about what I'm offering, but what I want to say is that I was looking for something that would help me to experience this life in a different way than the way that it was offered to me on my plate. Because I knew there was this deep longing. I knew those things that I was told would help me to feel happy. They didn't work. And I was listening to many talks and people, like I was feeling inspired by them, but they didn't really speak to me. They didn't tell my stories. And I remember thinking, when I could have never imagined that one day I would be occupying a stage and giving talks, that I was like, I want to tell a different story. I want to tell a story of ordinary, where like someone doesn't say, oh, my life was great, but something was missing. I want to tell a story. It was actually really hard. It was actually everything, a step forward was painful. It was very scary, and it was a big edge. But just trying a little bit, finding a gap, and then, looking at it, opening a door. Oh, there's fear, but can I face my fear? That really helped me move forward. So I wanted to share those stories. I want a space for, and this is my story, of course, and I'm sure there are many people with different stories. Just that would be my invitation for people. Just follow the stories that calls you, and then leave those stories.
Yeah. Well, I'm deeply happy that you've arrived in this place, and that this particular story of you working in the world is only only part way through. So I really wish you well. And you said that I was a colleague, which I am, and you, Ted, but you're also a friend. So
Thank you so much, Mac. Thank
take
you.
care.